on. Hey everyone, it's Chris from VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans. How's everyone doing tonight? As always, we've got Stephanie, our admin here, and Blake, one of our moderators. We're down a couple of soldiers. Jackie and Ashley are out tonight, so we're going to push on through. Let us know where you're coming from. We're going to give it some time here, allow people to get on and see what we can do tonight to answer everyone's questions. Stephanie?
Oh, did you not want to do any of the Facebook stuff or anything? Or you want me to
I'm just going to kind of wait for people to get on. And
okay. All right. Well, I know there's probably not a lot of people on here right now, but something I'm going to be doing tomorrow is I'm going to be, I'll share this with everybody. I'm going to be on the CivDiv. He is a YouTube channel as well. He's a veteran himself. And I am going to be giving my testimony on military sexual trauma and PTSD and kind of navigating through the whole kind of situation. It's gonna be a tough one for me to get through, but I think I'm tough enough to kind of explain, help people understand the process, and just give you my own story as well. So this is going to be tomorrow night. You can see here, it's the CivDiv. We'll drop the link. I think Chris has done it. And it's at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on his show. So yeah, and we might bring this back up again during
we'll readdress it later on.
Yeah, course of the show, just to kind of give everybody an update.
So yeah, just a couple of things, reminders, guys. Make sure to join our Facebook group. It's under the same name, VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans. We put a lot of good information up there. We have a lot of files you can look at. You'll get our video posts, shorts, any of that kind of thing. Also really helps if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, the same name, VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans. Hit that subscribe button. Click that bell. You'll get notices for all the videos we're putting out. We have a 3-part series coming out here on IMO Nexus letters. We should be dropping that next week, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-part series, so it'll be in stages because we didn't want it to be too long.
Right. And always email us at VACVHV@gmail.com. If we don't get to your question or you have more questions, you can definitely email us there and we'll get back to you. Steph's very good about that. If she doesn't know the answer, she'll reach out to Blake and Jackie and everyone else.
Yep.
And lastly, we've been asked about donations. So here we go. We have Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle. If you guys feel like donating to the cause, obviously this helps with all our equipment, software, all those kind of things to keep this thing up and running.
Yep.
So we'll pop up some of this stuff later. And again, we'll talk about Steph's upcoming testimonial tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
Mary Hall from North Carolina. She's back. Hi, Mary. We got Matthew Job.
Hi, Matt.
LG is back. South Carolina. Oh, you're going to watch us on CivDiv there, LG? That'll be great.
I don't see him. You see him?
LG, yeah.
Do you see him, Blake?
Yep.
Oh.
Well, I can see his in the chat.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
That's interesting. I only see Mary and Matt.
And Guy on the Couch is back.
Guy on the Couch is here from Jacksonville.
I wonder what's going on with my my feed because I don't see any of that. Interesting.
You see Elizabeth from Dallas?
Nope. This is not good.
Let me come take a look.
Yeah,
anyway, we used to live in Dallas. That was nice.
Yeah, come take a look, Chris, while we're waiting for people. Be sure to drop your questions, guys, because that's what we're here for. Blake, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself while he's kind of looking to see what's going on here?
One of the moderators. I'm a retired both military and civilian physician. No, I do not do Nexus letters, which always comes up. But I'm here to try to answer your medical questions and maybe try to help you explain why you do or don't have a nexus to military issue.
But you did help us write a really great IMO Nexus, which is in the Facebook group. So if you're in the Facebook group, guys, be sure to check out that file that Blake wrote up. And what he wrote up, we kind of evolved, and that's what's coming up with our IMO Nexus and our 3-part series coming up here for IMO Nexus. So, hi everyone, I'm finally seeing it. Thanks, Chris.
We got a lot of people from the East Coast here, South Carolina, DC. We used to live in DC as well. We used to live in Dallas, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Florida again.
Texas.
Living out of an RV doesn't mean you lived in a city that you stayed in.
Hey.
No, we actually lived in Dallas for 3 years. We lived in DC for 3 years, I think.
I was stationed in DC.
We were stationed there, yeah. So
yes.
Anyway, guys, start dropping some questions. We'll get some answers for you here. I don't have any questions yet, so.
We got Jason from Indiana. I'll go ahead and post this now that we're getting a bunch of more people. Just so everybody knows, tomorrow I'm going to be giving my testimony on military sexual trauma and PTSD on the CivDiv. He has a YouTube channel as well. It will be 6 p.m. Eastern. Chris has dropped the link in the comment section. We'll drop it up again later down in the feed. And be sure to start dropping your questions, because that's what we're here for. If we don't have questions, we're peace out. We're out. That's what we're here for. So if we don't have any, then we'll call it a night and be done with it. But we do appreciate everybody and the support that everybody has been giving us. And let me go ahead and do one more house cleaning. The disclaimer.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Did I say house cleaning?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone, live Q&A disclaimer. I'm going to read the fun stuff here. VA claims veterans helping veterans is not an accredited agent. We're not VSOs. We're not attorneys or entities recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we're not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with preparation, presentation, and prosecution of the VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance and purposes and should not be considered medical or legal advice. Yay, got that out of the way. Hey, we got someone from Detroit. Hi, guys.
We got a lot of people showing up. No questions yet.
Does anybody have questions? Because that's what we're here for.
Normally we got them stacked up by now, but maybe everyone has all their answers. Maybe you answered them all, Steph.
That's the Q&A.
Questions.
Right? Because we can give the answers, but we don't have the questions to give the answers, and we would love to help you guys out. So,
all right, here we go. Jason Riley, I'm 100% P&T for PTSD. Does this speed up my Social Security? I'm at the appeals process to see the judge.
Well, Social Security and the VA disability systems are two different animals. What it does do, you ask the question, does it speed it up? Yes, being 100% will expedite your claim, but does not guarantee it. And you need to let them know that you are 100% because the two don't talk.
Well, he's already passed the point of being expedited. So expediting at 100% P&T is only on the initial claim. He's going to the judge now. So he's been denied. He's been through reconsideration. So now he's at the ALJ.
He's with the Social Security judge or the...
Yeah, that's what
he's going to the judge.
He's going to the judge. So Jason, to piggyback off Blake, being 100% for mental health obviously is a huge issue. You are rated for it based on your service-connected mental health disability. SSA does not use the same parameters as the VA does to obviously give you disability. SSA has other requirements where you have to be at least, I think, Blake, you may know this, I think you have to be at least 12 months continuously. And I think mental health, you have to have at least 2 years of continuous mental.
That I don't know. That I don't know.
I think. But thank you. I have an attorney and I sent them decision letter. Okay, so I'm thinking, Jason, did this happen while you were filing for Social Security and you now have the 100%? Whereas when you weren't filing Social Security prior, that's what it sounds like too. Does that sound like that to you guys? Sounds like he got that letter after he filed with SSA.
Right.
So that's going to help. Yes. So that's good you have an attorney, because your attorney should know. Absolutely. Continue to provide all your medical updated records so that the judge will be able to see it. And then hopefully once you have your hearing, you'll get granted for that. So yeah.
Again, just like with the VA, you're your own best advocate. So don't count on your attorney to do everything, make sure he has all the records
Yeah.
and that he has sent them like he's supposed to.
Yep.
All right. Elizabeth, what exactly is needed for filing for presumptive conditions? I wasn't diagnosed with them until after I got out. They're in the VA medical records.
Do we put this in the air?
Yeah, I think we put something out.
Because we pre-talk about this, guys, like what we're going to think or is going to come our way. So anyway, we just talked about this. So for a presumptive condition, I'll talk and then I'll let you guys piggyback. Basically, the VA is conceding you were in that area. However, you still need a current diagnosis that's at least 10% disabling and is chronic in nature. So basically, if you're trying to file for allergic rhinitis, sinusitis, due to the burn pits and Gulf War, it's presumed because you served in that area. So you've got the presumption on your side, the VA is conceding, but you still have the steps over here to connect. You at least got to have a current diagnosis and at least has to be disabling. And Blake, do you want to give a little bit more?
Right. And disabling means longer than 6 months.
Yes.
So if you go to your doctor and he gives you, it says, you've got sinusitis, and gives you some antibiotics, gives you a nasal spray, and it clears up, and you go back 3 months later and it's back, and you continue to go back and you continue to have the same symptoms, then it becomes chronic. But if you go in once or twice a year for it, number one, it's not disabling in any way, shape, or form, except you might have a headache. But it's not going to be something that's going to meet the 10% criteria for it.
And you have to make sure that you have the presumptive condition that's eligible for presumptive.
Correct.
A lot of people think sleep apnea is it, and sleep apnea is not presumptive. So you have to make sure you have the presumptive condition as well as being in the presumptive area. And we have great videos on this as well. I put out one on the Pact Act bill, and I put one out on the presumptive for the burn pits and Gulf War. So be sure to check those out on YouTube as well. So they're good informational videos. And
where she says it's in her VA medical records, that's one thing, but it's not necessarily to have
that substantially helps
since you got out, but it helps.
It's that substantially helps you, Elizabeth, because you have the presumptive area, you have a current diagnosis, and you've had it for at least 20 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in her records. So
so
that helps.
Yeah, that chronicity helps.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. So I think you have a more than fair chance at getting that disability rated, Elizabeth.
Steph, Daniel said I sent this to Stephanie earlier today, but he didn't put anything. Do you know what he's talking about?
Yes. I know what he's talking about, Daniel. So Daniel messaged me today, guys. He was actually the gentleman that we had helped something to do with the throat and larynx and stuff. It was a while ago. Okay. He got rated. Well, he tried to file for mental health primary, got denied today. So he's now asking, can he file for mental health secondary, the anxiety from all the issues he's having? The answer is yes, he can. And I was going to tell him it's called SSD. So it's called somatic syndrome disorder. That is where a chronic disability causes mental anguish. So something you're service connected for, you can have secondary connection for mental health. That's what he's asking about, Blake, is he
can also have it if it's anxiety he's worried about. He can have it rated. I have insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
The VA does not necessarily recognize insomnia itself as a disability, but I am rated for anxiety secondary to my primary condition, because if I do not get sleep, my primary condition does not get better.
So that was his question, is could he file it secondary? And the answer is yes. And he can actually go ahead and I think I'm correct on this, Daniel. I'm going to get with Jackie because I don't want to just say this for sure. But I think you can go through the denial that was just denied and change it now to secondary. But I will confirm with Jackie. Just hit me up tomorrow and remind me. Jackie's not feeling good tonight, so hit me up at on Chris. Can you pop up that email, because that way I'll keep track of it. Daniel, if you go ahead and email me there, reminding me to ask Jackie about filing it secondary through this denial, I'll get you that answer. But I'm pretty sure I think you can, and we'll talk further on it.
All right, the big dog back.
Dog.
Big dog back. Hello, guys. I had an operation on my back while working in retail in 2017. 2018 got 70% PTSD rating. Never filed for TDIU or SSDI. Have not worked back operation. Can I still file and get back pay?
No. So you can't get back pay if you didn't file for anything.
And
However,
he can't get TDIU if he's 70% for PTSD unless he has a back rating.
Right. So if your back is the issue why you can't work and your back's not service connected, the answer is no.
Well, yeah, he said he heard it in retail. So I'm not sure if that was service connected. Right.
No. If your PTSD is causing you to not be gainfully employed, then yes, you could file for IU, TDIU for that. But if your back's not service connected, and yeah, no.
And as far as SSDI, he would have to have at least credit within the last 20 quarters, which if he stopped working in 18,
it's been 5 years.
That's 5 years. And the other thing is social. And if he if he is a big dog in the Philippines and truly living in the Philippines, Social Security has a problem paying benefits to anyone who lives outside of the continental U.S. or not the continental U.S., but the United States.
Right.
Protectorates.
And he probably no longer has the work credits. But I mean, so just to wrap it up, big dog, I love that name. If your back's not service connected, you can't file for the TDIU, IU. However, if your PTSD is causing you from being gainfully employed, then you could consider filing it for that. All righty.
All right, here we go. We got one from Kevin. I filed for TDIU in January. It's TDIU day again, huh?
Might be.
I filed for TDIU in January 2023. I have a CMP exam in March. The VA says I do not have to attend, but LHI says I have to go. Who is right? I'm 90% rated for bilateral eye disease.
Okay, first of all, the VA
down here says I have a CMP exam August 22 that states that I cannot work already.
Okay, there's a lot going on here. One, the VA is the one that contracts to LHI. So if the VA has contracted to LHI for a CMP exam, you must attend it if it's an in-person exam. So I don't know who you're saying that the VA says that you do not have to attend. If the LHI has reached out to you for an exam, you need to attend that exam. The one in August from 2022 is now going on for 7 months. I don't know what happened there. Did you have a previous claim denied and then you've appealed it? Has this been a continuous claim? Because typically there wouldn't be another exam within 6 months. So there's something missing.
Anytime you have a chance to attend an exam, you attend it.
Well, I don't know who's telling. I don't know what VA person's telling him not to attend, because that makes absolutely no sense. The VA orders the exam.
And if you have an exam set up, you should go to it regardless. Yes. You shouldn't even ask the VA. You shouldn't say, "Do I need to go to this?" No, you go.
And let me say this too, guys. I see this a lot in the Facebook group too, and just amongst veterans. A lot of them are hiring these companies out there that I consider are predatory, and they will tell them your DBQ is enough. You do not need to attend your exam. Don't worry about it. And lo and behold, they get denied.
And they just want it strung out so that they get more back.
Yes.
A larger percentage of a larger back pay.
If you have an exam, Kevin, go.
Better to show up and not
need it.
Not need to be there, I guess, right?
You're gonna get paid travel for it.
And honestly, for TDIU, IU, I'm surprised it would be even in person. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a phone call or even a televideo. So, yeah.
All right, Katana 370. Does getting surgery eventually decrease your rating?
Absolutely not. I've had 7. I've had 7 surgeries to my service-connected feet and toes and ankles. And I probably could get an increase,
Well,
but
doesn't it also, Steph? Doesn't it also depends on what you have surgery on? Because if you're rated for knees and you get a knee replacement, doesn't that put you at 30%?
Get you increase, correct? Well, a lot of people that have a knee replacement, a TKR, they get that 100% for 4 months. Then they get re-rated, and typically it's 30%.
Right.
A lot of the veterans are 10%, 20%. So at 30%, that's actually an increase. So she's asking if you could get decreased.
Can you be rated over 30% for a knee?
It could. I think it could go up to 60.
Right, but doesn't surgery reduce that from 60 to 30?
Well, I don't. You know what? I haven't seen a veteran that's rated 60.
I've seen one that was,
and they got reduced to 30.
Yeah, but they didn't. And they were happy with it because the total knee replacement helped.
Well, I mean, with a TKR, there's also a long recovery. So they don't even do the C&P exam till down the road.
Right.
So, but the answer to her question, I mean, I've had numerous surgeries. I've never been reviewed for a decrease, but at the same time, like Blake's saying, he's coming from a medical standpoint. If the surgery helps, that's the whole point, right? But in my situation, in many other veteran situations, it doesn't help. We try, we attempt, but there's such this big black cloud over veterans that they think if I'm rated and I go in for surgery, I'm going to lose my money. Well, I would give up all my money to not have all the problems I have, but I also understand that a lot of veterans want their disability. So, but the answer to her question, I guess I would be asking you is, what are you having surgery, if you don't mind me asking? And you could post that, what is it? Katana? Katana? If you don't mind sharing it, what are you having surgery that might, because like I said, like Blake said, it depends on what you're having surgery on. It could, like the TKR, it could get better. I haven't met a veteran yet that got reduced by having a TKR, because I've also heard that the TKRs are not successful. Some are, some aren't.
Right. The majority of them are successful. Hips and knees both are successful. Shoulders a little less so, but
yeah.
Hey, Steph, I'm going to post that video. I don't want to gloss over it. You said something about getting 100% while you're recovering from surgery.
Yes.
I want to make sure that people know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
And she's having hip surgery, by the way.
Okay. So, all right. So hip surgery. Again, I don't know what the disability rating is for your hip right now, if you can put that in there, but you can get 100% temporary disability for that surgery while you're recovering.
It's 4 months, right?
1 to 3 months. Well, hips could be different. If it's a hip replacement, then that's a different story. I don't know what type of surgery she's having, but Chris dropped the video. Be sure to watch the video, because you can file after you have surgery for 100% temporary disability while you recover. And you just provide your surgical notes, your medical records, and the doctor's notes, which say how long, you're going to be recovering. And you can actually be paid at 100% while you're recovering, so long as the hip is service connected. But again, if the hip is, I think if it's a hip replacement, it goes almost like a TKR.
Right. It does. They should have 3 to 6 months of rehab. And I think they will pay for the 3 months.
Don't have one yet. You don't have what? Service connection for the hip? My doctor says I need one. You see that?
She doesn't have an appointment to get surgery yet, I think is what she says. I may have hip surgery.
My personal doctor says I need one. Okay. Well, even if you go to the outside and you go with your civilian doctor and you have the surgery, if the hip is service connected, then you can get the 100%. You just take your civilian doctor's records and provide it with a traditional claim, but you can't file it till after you have the surgery.
Yeah. Katana, yeah, just make sure I dropped that link in there for the 100% disability. So if a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of veterans.
So Jeff says, hey, my wife was harassed in the Air Force during training from instructors. My wife says she experienced no problems from it. Eligible for a claim?
No.
No, you make a claim if you have issues.
If she doesn't have any mental issues because of the harassment, then yeah, no, there's no claim. I mean, if she has issues from the harassment, then that's a different story. But if she was harassed and she doesn't have any problems with it, then no, there's no claim to file for that, Jeff.
All right, Sharon. I did an intent to file 7 March 2022. My dad was very ill. I traveled between states. He also passed away. Question, how do we restart my intent to file? So
well, you got
the year went by, right?
She's got 6 days.
She's got 6 days to file a claim.
File it right now.
Even if you don't have all your evidence, file the claim.
File under that intent. No matter what, put the other evidence in as you're getting it. But I wouldn't wait till the 7th. I'd be doing it by the 5th. I'd be doing it by Friday.
Right.
Do not wait. Get it in under that ITF to preserve your effective date. Then go gather your evidence, and hopefully you'll be lucky enough to have enough time to get the evidence. But don't let that ITF lapse, because now you've just lost a year. So I'm sorry about your father, by the way, too. But, life takes circumstances that are less unfortunate, but don't lose this ITF.
Worst case scenario is the claim gets denied and you file an appeal while you continue to gather evidence.
Yep.
But that still goes back to your intent
you
file
just
date.
Got to preserve that date.
And you're welcome, Katana. I think I said it right.
All right. John, would getting the paid Nexus with medical law with service connection strengthen a letter from my private doctor after he reviews them and understands my service-connected medical with my current diagnosis?
We're getting a paid Nexus with medical law. Is medical law a group, John? Can you answer that? With service connection, strengthen a letter from my private doctor after he reviews them and understands my service-connected medical with my current diagnosis. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Are you asking if you get a Nexus from a paid-for company, would that help your private doctor understand what you're trying to accomplish? Sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question. But in any event, I'm going to take a stab at this because this is one of our, John, we're putting out a 3-part series here next week on IMO and Nexuses. You do not need to go out and pay for a Nexus IMO. These predatory companies out there, I cannot stand them, that are charging veterans so much money for these worthless pieces of paper.
And one of the things that a lot of these do, and I don't know if this is what he is referring to by medical law, a lot of them go in there and they will quote line and verse from a decision from some other veteran that went to the judge, and the judge said, yes, we're going to grant this because of this. Well, remember, you are an individual. Your circumstances may be entirely different from the veteran that law judge heard the case on.
And John, I'm going to give some advice for your civilian doctor. Sometimes civilian doctors just don't know what we're trying to accomplish or get to provide for our claim. You just need your doctor to put your diagnosis in your medical records and state in the medical records the causation. So if you're filing something, for example, primary, let's just go with primary, and let's just say it's migraines. The doctor needs to put in the medical records that the migraines are due to service. They, anything in the medical records to help. And if it's a secondary issue, the same thing. And you can actually write your own statement on a VA 21-4138, which is a statement in support of claim. And you can provide the background to the VA for the claim. and provide the medical records from your doctor. You just need the causation.
If your doctor states that this was the cause, or he believes that it was the cause, he needs to give some short statement as to what backs it up. Let's say hearing loss. All he would need to say is you worked on a flight deck of a carrier for 3 years.
Right. And John, if you can hold out for like
say next week would be, yeah.
Next week, we're dropping a 3-part series on IMO and Nexuses. This will really be helpful for you on the YouTube channel. And then I also talk about civilian doctors in it. So
if your private doctor is writing a Nexus for you, print out the file on the Nexus IMOs and take that to him, because it tells everything that needs to be in that letter.
Yeah.
All right. So Katana again here says, can you file insomnia secondary to pain?
What pain?
Probably her hip.
Okay.
That might fall under the somatic.
That might fall under SSD, somatic syndrome disorder.
Right.
You could actually look at that, Katana. That is, I don't know if you jumped on with us or not in the beginning, but SSD is a mental health rating. It's somatic syndrome disorder, and it's a secondary mental health diagnosis due to chronic pain, mental anguish. So I'm going to go with it. And like Blake said, it's your hip. So if your hip is causing this mental anguish, this pain, anxiety, and you get diagnosed by your mental health doctor that your mental health issues are being directly attributed to the chronic pain that you're suffering with from your hip, then you could, I'd file SSD. I'm not so sure, but you, Blake, says you had the insomnia secondary. Right. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, insomnia, there is no code for insomnia in the CFR. Insomnia is not a diagnosis. It is a symptom. The VA does not rate symptoms. They rate diagnoses.
Correct.
So if that is a symptom of your hip pain, then that would go to possibly raise your rating for the hip pain.
Right. But I think you're right. I think that's where she was going with it for. So insomnia, I'm reading this. So insomnia in of itself does not have a diagnostic code under the VA for rating schedules. So it typically goes under mental health, which is what we thought. I was just confirming it. So I would go with the SSD because somatic symptom disorder is a mental health rating.
All right, LG. I'm currently rated at 50% for flat feet. Can I claim my ankles, knees, lower back pain, and radiculopathy secondary?
Oh, Blake.
Okay, you can claim your ankles, knees, and low back pain. Now, you will need a diagnosis for each one of those. You can't, again, pain is a symptom. So you can claim that your feet have caused your ankles to become arthritic. If you have osteoarthritis of the ankles, you can claim that those have caused your knees to be unstable, and that goes all the way up to your hips. Now, the issue is radiculopathy. That's going to be questionable because a radiculopathy comes out of the spinal nerves. So that goes down, and more than likely your feet aren't going to cause that. Now, if you get your back rated for degenerative disc disease, then yes, that again may turn around and add to the radiculopathy, but that's going to be kind of a far stretch to take it from flat feet.
So recap that again, Blake. Radiculopathy, no, but everything else, maybe.
Everything else, yeah, is potential. When you think about it, you think about it like a house. If you mess with the foundation, you're going to screw with things all the way up. If you got bad knees, that's like having a bad front stoop. It's not really going to mess with your foundation as much as it is going to be So
something happened with my video in here again.
Going up is fairly easy to draw a nexus for. Going down is not.
So can you guys see me?
Yeah.
We're good? Okay, because my screen has just gone foobarred. If you can come in here and see this, Chris, because I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to show this real quick. So guys, we started this in the beginning. I just wanted to reiterate, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on the CivDiv, and I'm going to be giving a, well, where'd I go? Hold on. We're having technical difficulties in here. There we go. Thanks.
Just double tap that.
My hero. So I'm going to be giving my MST testimony tomorrow on the CivDiv. He has a YouTube channel, so be sure to come check that out. It'll be 6 o'clock Eastern time. It'll be a little bit earlier. So I just wanted to put that back out there. Chris?
Yeah.
You want to put up the donation?
Yeah, sorry. Just kind of reading these questions here.
I think LG is the next one.
So
guys, we have a donation option here. If you guys, we've had people ask us how to donate for us. We're not monetized on YouTube. So the only way when people are like, hey, why can't we donate? Well, that's why we're not monetized. But if you want to donate, these are your donation options. All the proceeds go directly back into the YouTube channel to support all the equipment that we use to do these lives, to do our videos and our consultations. So if you are so inclined and want to donate, if not, no worries. We're still here.
Software is getting expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we got here?
I think he said LG was next.
Yeah, LG. No, he just did flat feet.
Yep.
Oh, this one here. Currently rated for PTSD. Can I claim my GERD as secondary?
Yeah, if you have the diagnosis.
If you have the diagnosis and you can link the two together, yes.
Yep. And typically what I see with the GERD secondary to PTSD LG is the medication. So it could be the medication or it could be the stress of PTSD that's causing it. But you really need to be seeing a GI doctor. That's where I go see a GI for my issues. That's where I think you need to be. Get a specialist, get the diagnosis. I'm not sure if you have GERD now or not, but you need the diagnosis, and then you need the causation. Causation connecting it to the PTSD.
And if you've got a psychiatrist and a GI guy, and the GI guy says it's caused by the psych meds, and you can get the psychiatrist to say that the psych meds or what he's treating you with can cause GERD, then you got a nexus for sure. Yeah.
And in the meantime, LG, it sounds like you got a lot of kind of pots there that you're kind of contemplating filing. I would definitely put an ITF out there, the intent to file, and let it sit there while you're gathering all your evidence to support your claims, because it gives you up to a year. So if you don't have an ITF on file right now, I would definitely put one out, LG, and let it sit there and gather all your evidence, and then submit all the stuff at once, because that preserves your effective date.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to get the shareable link here.
Look, you have a new computer, dude. You're supposed to be able to just speed this up.
I am. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. So here's the intent to file video that we have. If he wants to do that, you can watch that video, and that'll help walk you through getting that set up. Like you said, you want to preserve that date.
Yes.
All right. So the big dog is back in the States.
Oh.
If I am on the presumptive list, Pact Act for Rhinitis and sinusitis, was diagnosed for it in service, do I have to file a 4138 and have current diagnosis?
Well, a 4138 is a statement in support of claim. So I always advise veterans to submit their own statement with their claim. It gives the rater a background of who you are and what you've been through based on your own statement. So a VA 21-4138 is always a good thing to submit. As
And
far
yes,
as
you have to have a current diagnosis, and you have to make sure that you meet the 10% disabling per the CFR.
right. And then, and also the Pact Act took away the 10-year manifestation after service. So it has opened up the doors, so to speak, for all veterans to file for allergic rhinitis, sinusitis, and asthma if you'd been out longer than 10 years. But as Blake said, and I've said in the past, you got to have a current diagnosis. It needs to be at least 10% disabling and at least 6 months or longer. So if you have the current diagnosis and you have all that, submit it under the Pact Act, because that is the presumptive. The VA is conceding you were in the area. So you have that going for you, and provide your own statement as well. I always encourage veterans to put in their own statements as well.
You're your best advocate.
Yep.
All right. Katana's back.
It's okay.
She's sorry for all the questions, but hey, that's what we're here for, right?
Yep.
I was recently rated. Am I limited to my service connected when going to the VA to be seen?
What's your no, not really, but what is your overall rating? If you're over 30%, they will see you for anything without a copay, I believe. Is that right, Stephanie?
Yep. I have the priority groups. Let me pull that up real quick. So your priority group is going to be dependent on what your overall disability rating is. And yes, I know there's a big, people say, oh, you have to be 50, you have to be 40. I know when I first started out, I was originally 40, and I was seen for all my non-service connected and never saw a copay.
I was 30 and never saw a copay.
So there is the link for the priority groups. I just dropped it in the comment section.
Is it on your screen stuff? She's 30%.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to show you the priority groups. This is it right here. So basically what this is I'm going to start all the way at the bottom. Priority group 8, basically 8 and 7. It's based on income. And then as you start getting up here, you're going to get into 6, where you're 0%, or you have something, then you're going to get up to 5, where you're 0%, and maybe a pension, Medicaid. You're going to start getting to 4. Here's where you're going to start getting into the groups like 3, if you're 10 or 20%, 2, if you're rated 30% to 40%, then you're in priority group 2. And then most of us that are rated 50% or higher are in priority group 1. So this is a really good information here. It's priority groups 1 through 8. It will help you guys determine about seeing the VA. But yes, you can be seen for your non-service connected disabilities.
It also helps determine whether or not you can go to urgent care in your area or not.
And speaking of which,
the VA take care of it.
I think I have that. Hold on, let me see. That's copays. Yeah.
Katana is 30%, so she should be able to go to the VA for.
What is she?
30%.
Oh yeah. So
anything
right here. So let me show that right here. You're right here. Your priority group 2. We will assign priority group 2 if you have service connected disabilities that we've rated as 30 or 40% disabling. So you are in priority group 2. You can
almost to the top.
Yep.
Big Dog said real quick, just got a current diagnosis last week. Still have rhinitis, sinusitis. Total disability is 90%.
Can you pop that up as a comment? What?
That was Big Dog saying that. Yes,
you guys just got a current diagnosis last week. Still have so he just got a current diagnosis last week for his rhinitis and sinusitis. Okay, correct. That's awesome.
He was asking about the Pact Act stuff. So
keep in mind, Big Dog, are you riding 90% up, or are you riding 90% down regarding that threshold of going to 100%?
And he also needs to show chronicity of this. So if it continues to bother you, you need to continue to follow up with your primary care.
Yep.
So that it's documented. And in 6 months, he can file an intent for it now, and 6 months later file the claim. And once he's got the link in, right? Is that right, Stephanie?
Yep. And Big Dog, if you want to know your overall rating, shoot us an email. Chris will pop it up real quick. Send me your disability list. I have a spreadsheet. I can run it through. It shows the bilateral factors as well. If you have bilaterals, and it'll give you the true fact, the true raw number of what you're rated. Because like I said, if you're 85 or 94 is a huge difference between needing 10 and 70% more in overall disabilities rated to get to that 95% threshold.
All right. So.
And also keep in mind, big dog, if you're a true 90%er and you have a 10% disability, that's only going to raise you 1%. That's only going to raise you to 91, not.
Once you get into the 90 bracket, it's very, very little baby steps to get to that 100.
All right, Carol Ann, I sent a termination to the veteran advisor earlier today. 30 minutes ago, I received an email asking if my rating has changed. Do I block the emails?
I knew they were going to do that to you, Carol Ann. This is the one we were talking about.
Yep.
So, Carol Ann, they're asking you that because they think you're trying not to pay them. So, guys, this is where I go. This is a wonderful, wonderful.
There might need a little backstory on this one.
Yeah, this is a wonderful veteran I've been helping, guys. So, long story short, she entered into an agreement with a company that I consider predatory, and they're trying to make her pay almost $10,000. And it just disgusts me. So I helped her with a consultation. We drafted up the termination agreement. She sent it to them. They did help her go from 60 to 80, but that's all. So what they're doing right now is they're fishing, Carol Ann, because they think you probably went to 100%, which you didn't. And they want you to pay them that extra $6,500. Yes, you already told them in that termination letter to stop messaging, texting, emailing, and calling. You need to send them back one email telling them to cease and desist all communication. And if you want to talk tomorrow, we could talk tomorrow on the phone. I'll walk you through it, because right now that's what they're trying to do. They think that you just don't want to pay them, when in reality, you've paid them more than enough. And it just irritates me when I see that from these type of companies. So hold off. I'm going to regroup here. Hold off on sending anything tonight, Carol Ann. Let's get together tomorrow. Call me tomorrow, and I'll walk you through it.
All right. So right now we're at a standstill. I think we've got all the questions.
Nope. There's one more question from LG up there that says he's currently rated for PTSD.
And
claim my TMJ is secondary.
And there's a guy on the couch has some. What was it?
Can he claim TMJ secondary to PTSD?
That's a tough one.
Well, TMJ is a very sketchy medical area, because the dentists want to say that it's medical and the medical people want to say it's dental. So that's something that you would need to get a strong nexus from probably both a psychiatrist and a dentist. You would need a diagnosis of bruxism, which is clenching your teeth more than likely, and they would have to tie that to your PTSD.
I guess my first question is, do you have a diagnosis of TMJ currently? And if so, is it due to your PTSD? Because, I mean, there is a strong link between the two.
There's a strong correlation there.
And that's
not necessarily there's not necessarily the causation. And that's what you would need from either a dentist or an oral surgeon or a medical doctor stating that your PTSD has caused bruxism, which has led to the TMJ. And
it just goes back to our 3-part video that's coming out about IMO and Nexus, as we talk about the difference between correlation and causation. And I can't stress it enough. A lot of veterans don't understand the difference, and that's okay. I didn't understand it a lot until I started reading it. But there's a huge difference between correlation and causation. So having the causation is definitely what you're going to need in order to get the TMJ secondary to PTSD. It has been rated. I've seen it, but you need a strong nexus connecting the two.
Daniel wanted to let us know that he's still in a holding pattern.
Aw, really? So he's the one he's been waiting with the judge. He's the one that he went on months ago to have his hearing, and the judge had like a bad connection, a bad link.
Oh, right.
So he had to wait 3 more months, and then fast forward, I think it was January, he had it, and then like his rep didn't really kind of drop the ball again. This is the one where Jackie and I were like, he absolutely was done a disservice by not having his CMP exams for all his issues, and that he should be asking the judge for CMP exams. And so I think where we left off, Daniel, is you had 30 days to submit new evidence and whatnot. So I just hope you get those CMP exams, brother, because I feel like you got a disservice by not having those CMP exams in the original claims. Ugh.
Guy on the couch.
Yeah, guy on the couch has questions. Chris, do you not see those?
They're not actually questions, they're statements. And he points out a good thing here about sinusitis and the rhinitis is
be ready.
Yes, is that not it?
Yes, you can get them.
Hold on, let's read this real quick. Chris, go ahead and read it.
Yeah, be ready if you don't have polyps and the 50% blockage for rhinitis to get a 0%. I know I was denied last year. In January 10th, I went to my PCP the 18th of Jan and got a call for a CMP exam. And then he says here on the 25th was rated on February 3rd for 0%, but it's service connected. I'll take it.
Amen. Right.
Right.
The battle's won. Right.
And you have to know what the criteria for each rating level is, and yes, it may bother you, but there is a 10% threshold there, and if that is not documented correctly in your chart or in your record, then you very well may get a 0% or denied. But as he said, a 0% is great because if it causes more problems down the road, or if at some point there is a CAT scan that shows a 50% blockage, or the doctor reports a 50% blockage, then you can go back and get a raise in or an increase in your rating.
What did he have? Was it rhinitis? Or sinusitis?
He has rhinitis, chronic rhinitis.
Okay. Because
this says it was reopened because of the Pact Act.
Oh. Well, I mean, like you said, at least it's here we go. At least it's a positive regarding
his would be
service connected at a non-compensable rating. There's with the polyps. But
yeah, allergic rhinitis with vasomotor or vasomotor would be with polyps is 30%, without polyps.
But with greater than 50%.
And obstruction.
That's why he got 0.
Right.
Because I think he said, what is it? He said, be ready and 50%. So I'm wondering, guy on the couch, do you have that 49% or that 51%? Because that right there would get you 10.
Well, if he's got
greater,
right, you got to have more than 50%. And his doctor has not on one side.
I think he was referring to Big Dog's comment, I believe.
Right.
Oh, right.
Big Dog says that he has this, so he was just making a comment
that he at least got 0.
Right.
But again, also rhinitis has many different
forms. The most common is the allergic or vasomotor.
Yep.
And that's going to be that, or the granulomatous is going to be probably secondary to burn pits, one of those two.
Yeah.
So again, granulomatous is going to be an actual microscopic diagnosis where they've done a biopsy and looked at it under the microscope.
Yeah.
Versus the allergic, which is not. And for the allergic to get a 10%, you got to have a greater than 50% obstruction on both sides.
Yeah.
So if you've got 60% on one side and 30% on the other, you're still going to get 0%.
And 0 usually, if you don't, like you didn't see a 0 there, guys, that's because there is no rating for 0. So if there is nothing, they default it to 0 when there's not one in the parameters to rate it. I have both. What does he say? Chris, you reading it?
Yeah, both waited on sinusitis. I don't know what Muent says.
My ENT.
My ENT says I'm a candidate for surgery, so I should get at least 30 on sinusitis.
Not necessarily.
Sinusitis.
Go ahead and explain.
Well, depends on what the ENT's criteria for surgery is. Can you pull that up? Because there are some surgeons out there that will operate on it underneath the.
So right here are the codes, Blake, and then this is the general rating right here.
See, it's that incapacitating episodes that get you, because what is the VA's definition of incapacitating episodes?
I'll tell you what that, well, usually, so incapacitating episodes like for eating disorder is meaning bed rest or in hospitalization. So what's an incapacitating episode for?
Well, this says it requires prolonged treatment, which is 4 to 6 weeks of antibiotic therapy or more than 6 non-incapacitating episodes a year of sinus characterized by headaches, pain, and purulent discharge or crusting. It doesn't say anything about surgery there. And the 50% is following radical surgery with chronic osteomyelitis, which means the osteomyelitis is infection of the bones in the sinus cavity.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tough one to deal with, and you would most likely be on IV antibiotics for at least 30 days, where you're going to have to go in and get an IV antibiotics 30 days if you got osteomyelitis. So that 50% is going to be a real tough one to get.
He says he's been complaining about headaches over a year now. I mean, I could see getting headaches because of that. I mean, sinusitis stuff. I mean, I'm thankful I don't have that kind of issue, but I can imagine headaches can be attributed to your sinus issues.
Again, it depends on the key thing here on that is go to the doctor every time.
Right.
Because it needs to be documented, because even if you're not being treated with antibiotics, it says 6 a year. That's every 2 months.
Yeah.
For that 30%. It's either
it does, lasting 4 to 6 weeks. Yep.
3 or more episodes a year, or 6 non-incapacitating episodes per year of sinusitis characterized by headaches, pain, and purulent discharge or crusting. And your doctor needs to put all of that when he examines you. He needs to say you have frontal or maxillary sinus tenderness. Make sure that the complaint of the headaches is noted. Make sure that if he sees a purulent discharge when he looks in your nose, that he diagnoses that, or if he sees that you got a nose full of crusty boogers, that needs to be all documented in your record.
So he says he's been on antibiotics for over 6 months. So he said I had him fill out a DBQ also. Okay.
You have been, guy on the couch, have you been on antibiotics continuously? For over 6 months with no breaks?
As we wait.
Or has it been, 10 days here, 10 days there, 10 days again? Because this says on a 30% rating that you have to have episodes, three or more episodes a year requiring 4 to 6 weeks of antibiotic therapy. That means 4 to 6 weeks straight.
He's been pretty much, he says, pretty much.
And you don't have any GI problems?
Good Lord, right? That's a long time to be on antibiotics straight.
Yeah.
Doesn't your body get immune?
The body doesn't, but the bugs do.
Constant sinus infections. Well, I mean, I guess with all
keep us up to date on this one.
Well, I mean, with all sounds like he's got a lot of ammo here.
Yeah. Right? Just document it.
Yeah,
And
they're going to go in and strip his sinuses.
And guy on a couch, provide your own. So let me ask you this, because guy on a couch, you just said you got 0, so that's good. You can actually, was that for his rhinitis? This guy on a couch, that was the rhinitis, wasn't it? It wasn't the sinusitis. He's still waiting on the sinusitis claim, I believe. But anyways, I would document also with my own statement again with the VA 21-4138 and just compile all the evidence. Add that. Add the fact that your doctors filled out the DBQ. Also make sure that the doctor is putting their license and what is it? The numbers.
The UPen.
The UPen?
Yeah.
And the NPI or something?
Right. UPen
Okay.
or NPI, either one. They're both in the VA system, so they can, as long as they have a way to look up in there, and he needs a state and state license number.
The reason I'm saying that guy on a couch is because they can look, the VA can verify that they're an actual doctor or accredited. And yes, not sinusitis, waiting on appeal from August of 2022. Okay, so sinusitis is now on appeals. So since it's on appeals, are you doing a supplemental appeal and providing new evidence? You're not under an HLR, correct? I'm assuming you're going through a supplemental appeal and providing all of this is going to be new evidence to that appeal. Is that correct?
That's the way it should be.
Well, I'm just hoping I'm assuming it's not an HLR because he's got the DBQ being filled out. He says he's got this. Well, the VA sent me there as community care. Okay, community care is VHA. So community care has nothing to do with the VBA side for benefits.
Right.
So again, what are you on appeal with? Which lane did you go through, guy on the couch? Did you go HLR or did you go supplemental appeal, or are you waiting to go to the judge? Because those are 3 different lanes and that'll make a difference. But community care, that just means the VHA side, the healthcare side, has sent you out to the community to be seen for your sinusitis.
More than likely, because they can't provide a provider to see you within a prescribed period of time.
Not HLR. Not HLR, sub-used Pact Act as new evidence. Okay, so you are under the supplemental. Okay. So yeah, I mean, just provide all the evidence. It sounds like you've got a lot of ammo on your side to provide to them. Whatever you're getting done in the community, provide those medical records as well.
Make sure that community care provider is sending his records each and every time.
Yep, they don't.
I say we've actually had to get the paperwork and take it ourselves just to make sure it gets in there.
I'm out in the community right now for physical therapy, occupational therapy, urology, and GI, and none of them are in with the VA. It's really
they don't automatically, even though the VA sent you there, they don't automatically send the records there. Yep. You have to do that on your own. There is some personal responsibility there that you need to take.
Yep.
So you have to make sure that they're sending them each and every time you go.
LG up there, before you go to Mary, do you see LG's comment up there? I just want to say thank you, Chris. I just want to say thank you for always answering my questions. I'm currently 92 overall and just trying to move the needle with what I have left to claim. We'll definitely do the intent now. Yeah, so at 92, I think, if my memory is serving me correctly, it's about 30%. I think you need another 30%. And with what you need to claim, definitely do that ITF and see if those disabilities will be rated accordingly. Good luck, LG.
All right. Guy on a couch. I don't know if this is really.
He sends my meds.
What we're talking about.
No, that's still, those are your meds. That's not your actual. That's not
your medical file.
That's not what he sees.
All he's doing is he's sending your meds to the VA so you don't have to pay for them. I do that too. What we're telling you is to, guy on the couch, listen to me clearly here. You got to get those medical records from that doctor in the community. That's what I'm doing right now for my own situation. Get those medical records. Tell the doctor you need a copy of them. They will print them off for you every time you go to a visit, give it about a week or two so that they can dictate and transcribe, get those medical records. You can then take them to the VHA with the release of information and submit them there. And you can also keep them in your own personal file for whatever it is. So if you go to file the claim, you've got those records, just submit them with all the evidence.
And also the VA will reach out when you file a claim. They will reach out to your community provider one time. So if there's additional visits after you file that claim, it's up to you to make sure that those get filed in your VA file with the VA. And
I'm actually gonna kind of say, I'm gonna counter that, because not all the time when you file a claim with the VBA side do they attempt to go get community care records.
Right.
They will attempt to communicate with the VHA.
But they're supposed to, because if they don't, then it's a
duty to assist error.
Duty to assist error.
But again, be your own best advocate. At the end of the day, be your own best advocate and submit all the medical evidence for your claim.
All right. Did we beat that one up?
Oh, we beat that one up.
All right.
That was
that
a good
horse
one.
is dead.
Okay.
All right. So, Mary, I had my first CMP exam today for tinnitus and hearing loss, and I have a CMP for foot, ankle, and back pain tomorrow. What do you think about this? I am new to all of this.
So I personally have been through foot and ankle exams, so I can attest to that. It's pretty similar to the back. Chris, you've been through back, so you could probably attest to that. ROM, flexion, extension. They might have you walk. They may have you stand on your tiptoes. They may watch you walk. But remember this, please stop when it hurts.
Right.
So
ROM
if the
is
doctor
range
tries,
of motion.
Huh?
ROM is range of motion.
Yes. So the doctor, if you're sitting there and the doctor's telling you to flex and go like this and do that, if it hurts, don't go all the way this way.
Don't let them push you either.
Don't let them push you. You tell them, stop, that hurts. So
I've had a lot of doctors, they'll say, well, keep going, or try to, kind of get you to move farther. Don't do it.
Yes, because at the end of the day, if you go past the pain, then you're going to give this ROM that's really not correct.
Right. So I think this is all their first stuff. So I think this is good. They're kind of putting all things together for, the grouping her exams together.
Yeah, and the
tinnitus and hearing loss. Hearing loss is done as you know today was done in the booth. Tinnitus is totally subjective.
Noise exposure.
It's what you tell them it is. Mm-hmm. You need to fill out your personal statement and tell exactly what noise you were exposed to while you were active duty. If you were on the flight deck, if you worked in a machine room, if you were sitting in an office, probably not going to happen. But
and that's and like I worked fueling and defueling ships, so I was around noise. Just going back again. I don't want to be repeating, but it's good to sometimes fill out the VA 21-4138. It is your own statement to support your claim. It is your time to talk to the rater. And another thing for everybody that's listening, I'm also going to say this. During your claim, I see this a lot in the veterans groups. People are like, oh my gosh, something happened. With the exam or something to do with evidence. You can communicate with the rater every time with a statement, a VA 21-4138. I did it 6 times in one claim. When I noticed something, I immediately filled out that 21-4138 and I submitted it and I uploaded, because the rater will see it within 24 to 48 hours. So if you need to communicate on behalf of your claim, that is the best way to do it. Now, I know there's things out there like Vera now going on where you can have like these one-on-one, but that's not the rater. If you want to communicate with the rater who is handling your claim at that RO office, that is the best way to communicate. I can't stress it enough.
One of the things that has come up a couple of times tonight, comes up in the group all the time, is, can I claim? Yes, you can. You can claim anything you want. You can claim anything you want. You can tie it to anything that you want to, but you better be able to back it up if you actually expect to get a rating.
Yep.
You need to know why, and you need to know both the causation and correlation. Again, watch the videos that Stephanie's putting out. Read the file and about causation and correlation. Most of the paid nexuses that you get out there all will be heavily laden with cut and pasted correlations.
And a 6-page nexus is worthless.
Yeah. Those correlations don't mean anything because it's about what caused yours. The correlation just backs it up.
Yep. And I'll throw this out one more time, guys. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be doing my testimony on MST. I'll be on the CivDivs channel. He invited me on, asked me if I would do this. So I will be giving my testimony tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check it out. It'll be very powerful and hopefully very helpful. All right. We done?
I think so. I think when you only have 2 or 3 of us talking instead of all 4 or 5 of us,
it goes quicker, doesn't it?
Get to the point, right?
It goes a little quicker. I don't think we had any fewer questions, but
no, I think we had a lot of questions.
I hope we've been able to help some people tonight.
Yes. And again, people, if there's some questions you have afterwards that come to mind or whatnot, please feel free to email us at VACVHV@gmail.com. Chris will pop it up.
I'm trying. It seems to not want to work.
That's okay. We're more than happy to take questions after the fact. If we don't, like I said, there's going to be a question that I want to ask Jackie. So I remember I asked that person to go ahead and email me. We'll get together and collectively we'll talk about it a lot of times. Feel free to email me there and we'll definitely help you guys out the best we can.
We talk every day.
We do.
Multiple times.
We do. And join the Facebook group. And also if I'm not sure, I think we're going to do another one here in a couple weeks. I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. I know it's a lot to do for questions and answers, but we love to do it. So we're hoping that, I guess our next one would be probably the 15th, Chris. Yeah. 15th of April, March, 15th of March. So again, we'll do that. And we got a question, Chris.
We got Seymour Beezy. 91% trying to link lumbar strain degenerative disc disease with second of arthritis and neuropathy. Also cervical with second of arthritis and peripheral neuropathy. Unsure best way to show Nexus. VA says my MRI from January 2022 is old.
So Blake, is he trying to do the upper left extremities to the neck and the lower right extremities to the back?
Secondary to arthritis of what? Because degenerative disc disease and arthritis kind of walk hand in hand together. Those
upper and lower.
Those would give you neuropathy. The lumbar would give you can give you neuropathy to your legs. The cervical can give you some neuropathy or radiculopathy in the arms.
Yep.
But the question is, what are you linking these conditions secondary to?
Well, what about an EMG test?
The lumbar strain. A strain is typically muscle issue. So if you have if in your active duty records, it shows that you went to sick call for lumbar strain, trying to show degenerative disc disease and arthritis secondary to that, that's going to be hard. If you were a paratrooper and jumping out of airplanes and landing on your feet, that's not a real hard. Well, I was going to say a real hard jump. To get that degenerative disc disease secondary or even primarily to
neuropathy. Well, Chris, you have upper left and right to the cervical, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you do an EMG test for that? Am I right, Blake? That's something to do.
That is one. Yes, that will show nerve conduction. That'll show where the damage is if it's at the shoulder versus elbow versus wrist.
So would that be something maybe he should consider asking his doctor to do besides the MRI, maybe an EMG test?
But he's trying to get arthritis rated secondary to a strain, and that's
a strain is muscle, so that's not
muscle. Yeah,
neuro.
Well, the neuro is secondary to the degenerative disc disease, both lumbar and cervical, but it's what caused the degenerative disc disease that.
Right, but I think he put another comment. Oh, it's an LOD, a line of duty. So you're a reservist. LOD for fall during a patrol service connected with PT post-deployment Air Force. Okay. Good for you on getting that LOD for one, because most of the reservists I talked to do not have LODs. Okay. So he has the LOD, which was the line of duty incident report.
Right.
So that's good for the fall.
That'll show the fall. Now, was he treated afterwards?
He was an MP, he said. Oh, Air Force MP. Okay. Connected with PT post-deployment. Connected with PT. Are you talking about physical therapy post-deployment? I think that's what he's saying, right? Connected with physical therapy post-deployment? Was that what you would take PT to be?
Yeah. And the question is, to what degree of degenerative disc issues? What is the degree on MRI of the
Chris, bring his first question up.
Arthritis, because all that will show in the MRI. And the length of time between when this fall happened and currently, is this over a 30-year period? Is it over a 3-year period?
High-grade stenosis. Okay, so we're getting into the weeds here. So really to recap, I think for you, Seymour Beasy, is you're gonna, I think you need an EMG test to see where
he needs a new MRI.
And you need a new MRI. So that way the MRI will show updates. The EMG will show if you have nerve issues. Like I was saying, my husband, he has the upper left and right to the cervical neck, which is what you're trying to accomplish. You're also trying to accomplish the lower back with the lower left and right to the lower back. So to recap, I would ask the doctor about the EMG test, get the MRI, and kind of see where you are with that to help solidify the claim. In the meantime, I don't know if you've started the claim, but if you have not, go ahead and put in that intent to file, the ITF, and that will preserve the 1 year to file for that. And then that way you can gather all the evidence and file under that ITF. And that's the form. Again, I'm not sure if you know about the intent to file or not, but that's what I would do. That way to give you a year to file under the ITF and preserve that effective date.
And if you're not seeing a spine specialist, get in to see one and ask them their opinion on the cause because degenerative disc disease and arthritis are two separate entities.
Oh, he put something up there, Chris. 2016 to present, 3 bulges, mild arthrosis. 2022 MRI showed 3, 4, 5, and S1 touching nerve root. ITF in it. Okay, cool. The ITF is in. So I think pretty much we're recapping. That's what you should do, is gather that evidence and then file under that ITF with that new evidence. And like Blake said, see if you can get with the spine doctor as well. LG's got a question.
LG, can you tell me about the 50% rating for migraine and missing work? Is there a certain amount of days you have to miss?
I got migraines. So for the migraines, so for 50%, normally I use this other software and I'm so upset it's down today, but let me get into headaches. What is that? Cranial?
Migraine. Neuro.
Neuro, thank you.
Neuro.
Let me get into the neuro. Where is that? Shoot. I'm not finding it. I don't know why I'm not finding it. Why am I not finding the neuro? All right, hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Headaches at 50% is the max, just an FYI. So you've got 50, 30, and 10. And
that means you're prostating twice a week, I think.
Yes. And frequency. That's what I'm looking for, is the migraines and the frequencies. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. So
Seymour Breezy just put this up too if we were looking stuff. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You say spine specialist lists chronic pain and myalgia?
Right. And that's not going to help him much with what he's got going on.
Yeah. So the EMG and MRI is probably the way to go, huh?
Yeah.
I hate going to somebody else's website, but I don't have a choice at the moment. So a non-compensate. So here you go. You got 0, 10, 30, and 50. So 50, a person must suffer from significant economic inability due to their migraine episodes being frequent, persistent, and resulting in total prostration. So when you're asking how many days of work isn't really relevant when it comes to the migraine ratings. It's the prostrate and frequency of those. And I believe
if you go to the CFR, it will tell you exactly what.
And I'm in the CFR, and if you guys, I don't see anywhere where I'm seeing neuro. And
neurological conditions and
right
consults. Yeah.
Here we go. So let's go to the scheduling of the neuro. As soon as I said that, I found it. All right. So it should be 80.
There is my no.
Nope, I think it's 8100. I think I'm getting there. Hold on. Stand by. The neuro is just, here we go. There it is. So with very frequent, completely prostrating and prolonged attacks, productive of severe economic instability. So
30% says occurring on average once a month over the last several months.
And then 10% and then 0. So to answer your question, there's not a specific time frame of being out of work, but it would be helpful to recap for this. It would be helpful for your employer to show the missed days that you've missed due to your migraines. And keep in mind, prostrating means you can't do anything. You have to shut everything out. You're in the dark. You're away from everything. It totally takes you out of everyday life. All right. You got another one, Chris?
No, not yet.
I thought you
also
did.
On the migraines, one of the things wouldn't hurt to have an FMLA filled out for it for work. That says, that you can, or a letter from your doctor stating that you have these migraines and that when they hit, you need to either go home or stay home with them. And
Seymour Beasy said 0% 3 months, 10% every 2 months, 30% 1 time a month, 50% frequently. Right. So basically, but to answer his question was, there's no time frame of missing work. There's not like a time frame.
That's another good point. Blake, you always say a migraine log, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Keep a log. I mean, you need to know everything that you've ever taken for them, what made it better, what made it worse. If
Times when it starts, day, night, anytime.
If there are triggers for it, does certain sound where it make it cause them, certain smells to
Seymour Beasy says migraine buddy. It might be a migraine log.
That's an app. That's an app, and you can actually, a lot of physicians, EMRs will integrate with that, so you can download it directly into your medical record. All that stuff helps. You know, if you're missing family events, social events, work, you need to have that all documented and say, you know, it was my kid's 10th birthday and I couldn't go because I had a migraine.
I'm so glad I don't have migraines, but that I heard that the buddy apps are really helpful. And medication, whatever medication you're on.
Yeah. So Hugo has it's kind of generic, I guess. Do you know if we can claim rhinitis and sinusitis? And do I have to have a diagnosis before I file a claim?
If you don't have a diagnosis. Well, I mean, I'm going to be blunt. If you don't have a diagnosis, what are you filing?
Right.
I mean, you got to have a diagnosis to have a claim.
That's been our theme tonight, is you have to have a diagnosis, and it has to be at least 10% disabling, even if it's presumptive.
I mean, if you're Hugo, if you have rhinitis and sinusitis as a diagnosis and you can prove it's related to service as primary, then file it. Or if it's due to presumptive areas, then file it. But if you don't have a current diagnosis, then there's nothing to file.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know what you're filing for if you don't have
You
it.
could go through the whole CFR and file for one of everything, and, you know, but if you don't have a diagnosis, it's not.
He's got a follow up, Chris. I was seen off and on allergies in service, diagnosis from primary care or VA.
Yeah, you need a current diagnosis.
Correct. Your primary care is your VA doctor, I'm assuming, Hugo. So yes, if you're seen, so one, if you pull that back up, if you were seen off and on for allergies in service, what do your STRs state? Do they state a diagnosis of allergies in service? Did you have medication issued while you were in service? And now let's go over here. Diagnosis from your doctor currently? Yes. If you have a doctor's diagnosis currently stating that your current diagnosis is due to service, then there's your connection. While it's good to have the continuity in between, it's not always needed, because a lot of us didn't go to the doctors when we got out.
Yeah,
but you need to have the current diagnosis connecting to service.
And it helps to be able to explain why you didn't go to the doctor between.
Yep.
I didn't have insurance. I wasn't where I was able to leave work to go do that.
That goes back to the VA 214138 statement in support of claim. You would state why you couldn't have continuity of care, Hugo. I wasn't able to do it because of this and because of that. Best way, again, is to be your own advocate.
All right, John Sullivan, can non-allergic chronic rhinitis be claimed?
Yep.
And yeah, absolutely.
It can. You need to be able to say again what the causation and what that link to service is. Were you diagnosed with it during service? Was it is this something that just popped up in the last 3 years and you've been out of service for 10 years?
Yep.
If you're on the presumptives, then yes, you can claim that. But you're going to need to be able to show service connection. Yep. The VA has gone part of the way by saying, okay, we can see that you were in the area and there are things in that area that could cause this. Now you need to show us that you have.
You're saying toxic exposure. You're talking about the burn pits, John? Or are you talking about, because I've been hearing this too amongst veterans, and it could be under the TARA. Are you talking about a toxic exposure due to the burn pits? Or are you talking about a toxic exposure that's not on the presumptive list? Because there's also that going around right now with like being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being exposed to jet fuel and those fumes and all that. And, a lot of the veterans are like, well, why isn't that considered presumptive? Where the guys were out.
because while there are studies that show correlation, they've yet to show causation.
See, that's it right there.
It's a
No
fuel.
JP4 spill. Yeah, no JP4 spill. So you were not exposed to it. So what is the toxic exposure then?
JP4. It was a spill.
It says no.
It's fuel.
Well, he didn't put a comma between those.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay.
He's saying a fuel spill.
Okay. So I have been seeing that go around. One of my videos is on the YouTube for the Pact Act, and it talks about Terra, and they're talking about the exposure to jet fuel as veterans trying to file for service connection. It's not a presumptive, John, but you could certainly, if you can prove that.
That's one you would need your doctor to say.
Right.
It's at least likely as not that his exposure to this JP4 spill.
Right.
Hey, Steph, was that the Gulf War post 9/11 presumptive illness?
Yes. But the Pact Act. The Pact Act has the Terra in it, honey, not that one. That's the presumptives. The Pact Act.
The Pact Act one?
Yeah, it talks about the Terra in there. But so he's talking about his spill of fuel. I get that, and I can sympathize with him because when I refueled and defueled ships, I got it in my eyes all the time. So the short answer, to recap, you could attempt to file it due to that, John, but you've got to have the current diagnosis linking it to the exposure and the spills of the jet fuel showing that caused it.
And a strong nexus.
And a strong nexus. Yes.
Yeah, so that link I just dropped is for that Pact Act video that talks about the Terra.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Whoo, we made it to an hour and a half tonight. Holy crap.
Holy cow.
Right? It's 9:30, guys.
All right. Are we
past
done?
our
It's 8:30.
We're past our bedtime. Well, it's 9:30 here.
You're old.
Hey.
You just had a birthday.
I know I did. Whoop, whoop. Big old 5'2".
All right, guys. Again, join that Facebook group. A lot of good information on there. YouTube channel. We're putting out videos. Like I said, next week, we're dropping a 3-part series on Nexus and IMO letters. And again, if you guys want to donate, here's the avenues. We get this a lot, so we'll put it up there. If you guys want to donate, we're more than happy to reinvest that money into this, like I said, equipment, software, all that stuff we use to keep this moving. So
yeah, we're not monetized with YouTube. That's why. And so many people are like, why don't you have a donate button? Well, we don't have them because we're not monetized with YouTube. So people have been asking us. So that's the only reason we're putting it out there. And just a reminder, I'll be on this tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you guys care to jump on over to the CivDiv, he's another veteran. And he's going to have me on to give my testimony. So it should be a good show. I look forward to it. And I think we're going to do probably another one March 15th. Be on the lookout for another live Q&A. And I guess we'll talk to everybody soon.
all right, guys. Thank you very much. Everyone have a good night.
Bye. Have a good night, guys. Bye, Blake.
Bye.